Hi guys, I thought today I would share a bit of my health update because it's been a couple of weeks since I've done that, and I figured it was time to own up to the fact that, things haven't been going as well as what I would have liked. It all hasn't been bad though, so I think the things that I set myself in the first month. I was going to do it weekly, but I decided to stretch it out a bit. I think habits take a while to embed themselves into our psyche, and so I figured I needed to stretch that out a little bit. So the first thing was eating 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And on the whole, that's actually been quite successful. Um, Towards the end of, about the middle of the second week, I realised that I was putting on weight, and that wasn't overly thrilling me. So I was so tempted to go back to, um, my usual non-eating routine, but my daughter was quite insistent that that was ridiculous. And she was right, and yeah, so I stuck to it, and it's plateaued out quite well. And so I take my fish oil tablet and have a glass of juice with my breakfast, and that's been doing okay. I cut down a teaspoon of sugar in my tea, and that's also been quite successful. I've had the occasional tea with no sugar because at work, when somebody makes me a tea, quite often I don't get the sugar, so I drink it anyway. I don't like it, I really don't, but I do it, so it doesn't kill me. But my preference is for a little bit of sugar. So on the whole, that's been quite good. I've also been having herbal teas at night. My daughter is not a tea drinker or a coffee drinker at all, but when I've bought these herbal teas and or fruity teas, and she's taken a shine to them. So she makes a cup of tea and, would you like one, Mum? Which is really quite odd. So we share a cup of tea together, which is lovely. Um, so that's that. Now, drinking water, my lemon water, that's where it's kind of fallen down a little bit because I've just been so hectic over the last 2-3 weeks work-wise. Um, and I mean hectic is a bit of an understatement. And I guess those habits weren't embedded in my daily routine quite as much as I would have liked. Um, so I have to get back onto that now. And exercise, well, that hasn't really come into the picture yet, but it will do. Um, I'm going to have to stop this for a minute to just go and blow my nose. You can really see when I blow my nose just how red it is. I really have to go and see about this sinus issue. It's really getting beyond the pale, really. So where was I? Yeah, that's all about the exercise thing is about to change. On Friday, my eldest child, my son Christian, arrived home. I saw his car in the driveway and wondered, what's he doing here? And I had one of those feelings, you know how you get one of those feelings. And sure enough, that gut feeling was right. His first love is now at an end. And I can't say that I'm not happy about that because it wasn't right. And he just had to find his own way in that, and he did. It was mutual, which is good. But the poor darling, Christian's 24, still studying and still got his part-time job. And look, it's really time for him to move on and grow up, I think. I think this has been a really good learning experience for him, but he was just so distraught all weekend. You know, he'd if I sort of mentioned anything about it, he would just end up in a sea of tears. And it wasn't just crying, he was sobbing. He was really quite distraught, and it's horrible to see your kids so upset. But I give him credit. He does realise that it wasn't right, and they weren't right together, for a whole host of reasons. And I saw that quite a long time ago, and yeah, so yeah, it wasn't a big surprise to me. He was just head over heels with her, and I was so afraid that he'd want to marry her or something. So yeah, so fortunately that all didn't happen, and I think this is going to be a really good opportunity for him to make some major changes in his life, which he's not good at. He's just not a change kid and never has been. But anyway, he's moving back home, and that means, and from Geelong to here, it Geelong's a city in its own right, a satellite city to Melbourne, and it's like a big country town, but it's a city. So everything is there, and those of us who've lived there love it because it's right on the coast, and there's just so much around there. But at the same time, it's quite limiting. It's quite, he's been looking for jobs in IT, and, there just hasn't been that many there. Whereas in Melbourne, he's got so many more options, and I think he'll find a job fairly quickly. But the reason I took so long to tell you all that was that Christian's also a bit of a fitness fanatic, and he loves our dogs, so we'll be walking the dogs fairly regularly, which is great. Although I don't know how that's really going to go, because one of the dogs, Monty, who's getting rather old now, is just not able to walk very far, so we'll see how it goes anyway. So that's my health and fitness update.